The second generation of Toyota's rear-wheel drive sports car, the 86, or now called the GR86, in collaboration with Subaru's BRZ, has only been out for about 2 years now. But Toyota is planning to possibly ditch Subaru as we go forward with the third generation. Let's get into it. News coming out of Japan. We're over at MagX, another scoop site. We know Best Car Web, MagX is up there, Spider 7's another one. And they are claiming that Toyota's well ahead on the works of the third generation 86, GR86. Now, I would download this magazine and share it with you guys, but it's a very long process, and actually I'd have to put in a Japanese address as well as a bunch of other information just to go ahead and purchase this thing. So we're going to discuss what we have available here, and then actually over at the Drive, an Australian website, they've gathered all the information from what MagX is reporting. If you're excited for the third gen 86, smash the like button, and let's get into what MagX is saying out of Japan. Now, it looks like they spoke with an engineer on the development staff of the GR86, and Akio Toyoda spoke to the engineers, and he was pretty much saying that Akio Toyoda himself would develop the third generation 86 at Toyota, and the planned launch date is 2028, 5 years from now. And we're going to move over to the Drive where they fill out the rest of this information for us. Now, keep in mind, this is not gospel. Like, this vehicle is in 2028, so 5 years away. Take everything with a grain of salt. A lot of things can change before now and then. Now, they're claiming it will be developed in-house by Toyota for the first time without Subaru's input whatsoever. I think a lot of people would be happy, I guess, about that, unless you're a big Subaru fan, because then you like the Boxer engine, you like that low center of gravity. But Toyota purists out there might actually enjoy having a 100% designed Toyota vehicle. I know a lot of people are still salty about the Supra, for example, being developed alongside of BMW, built in Austria. And this BRZ and GR86, since 2012, have been built at the Gunma plant by Subaru. And that still might happen. Even though Subaru doesn't have their hands in the development of this vehicle, Subaru still could be building this car in the Gunma factory. Now, MagX is claiming that in 2028, when this new third gen launches, it'll have the 3-cylinder turbo that we see in the GR Yaris and the GR Corolla, around 300 horsepower, the G16E engine, and hybridizing it. The thing is that the GR86 right now is an affordable vehicle. Let's say it's around $30,000. With a 3-cylinder turbo hybrid, you would think that the prices would be about $40,000 would be my guess. That doesn't sound like an affordable sports car, an entry-level sports car. So either this moves up, the GR86 moves up in performance and price, and they bring in a lower-priced model, or they just don't have an affordable entry-level sports car anymore, which who knows. And reportedly, Toyota had been debating whether to rush this next-gen model, which it seems like they are, in anticipation of the age of electrification, or to postpone the conclusion by prolonging the life of the current model. I mean, I want this current model to be around as long as possible, to be honest. I think it's a great template and a very pure sports car. High performance, maybe it's not the fastest, but for the average person who maybe does a random track weekend here and there, it's a perfect vehicle for that, to hone your skills, to enjoy driving in its simplest and purest form. In the past, Tetsuya Tada, who was previously Subaru's leader, he retired in 2021, and apparently there's no one left at Subaru to help to develop sports cars. So, gosh, I mean, look, STI was killed. WRX is decent, and you can get good deals on it nowadays, but it doesn't look like Subaru is interested. They have bigger fish to fry. This is a low-volume vehicle. It's designed for purists and enthusiasts out there, which is a very, very small market. Subaru wants to appeal to the masses as best as possible, and them splitting their resources, as they have to allocate tons of money for research and development of battery electric vehicles, for another gas-powered sports car, probably is not in the cards for them. The next part from Drive talks about the conflicting reports from MagX with this newest swirl of rumors, and comparing it to the previous swirl of rumors coming from Best Car Mag, which is typically more reliable, but they both have proven to be wrong at times, and they both could be wrong about this vehicle, even though what they're saying about it is very different from each other. Both of their stories could be wrong. So MagX is claiming that the GR86, the third gen, will adopt a smaller 3-cylinder, so a 1.4 liter instead of a 1.6 liter 3-cylinder turbo, mated to the hybrid technology. So MagX is speculating that the electric motor is going to be placed between the engine and transmission. Now you got to keep in mind, unlike the GR Yaris and the GR Corolla, the engine isn't going to sit horizontally, it's going to sit longitudinally. And so that'll be in parallel with the drive shaft going to the rear wheel. So there's going to be an electric motor sitting in between the 3-cylinder and the 6-speed auto or 6-speed manual transmission. And we see a similar setup in so many other cars out there, but even in the upcoming Tacoma, for example, or in the current iForce Max hybrid powertrain in the Tundra, except that uses a 10-speed auto. And since they're ditching Subaru's Boxer setup, it would also require a new platform, they're saying, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, new platforms are needed all the time to keep up with the safety regulations. Now, even though MagX is saying it will require a new platform, Best Car is saying that the GR86 will modify and shorten the Lexus IS platform, which is the old GS platform. But that seems even more unlikely because the IS has been discontinued in certain parts of the world due to its safety regulations. So unless they are somehow able to improve the safety of the IS and /GS platform, I just don't see that happening either. I think it's got to be a brand new platform altogether. MagX is also claiming Subaru will be contracted to build the car, as they currently are, but it is a Subaru at its very core. This vehicle will have no Subaru DNA other than the blood, sweat, and tears of the Subaru workers putting the vehicle together. So that means they would have to ship the engine, transmission, etc. from Toyota in the Aichi Prefecture, nearly 400 kilometers northeast to the Subaru factory in Gunma Prefecture. Not that big of a deal. But anytime you're moving things on freight, it's going to increase the price, you would think. But as it is, cars are pieced together from parts from all around the world, so I don't see that as that big of a deal. They're saying the GR86, when it launches in 2028, at that point in time, will already not have been seen in Europe for the second generation anyways for nearly 4 years. But Europe is wanting to ban gasoline-powered cars in any shape or fashion by 2030 in certain parts. Now, they're kind of walking back on that, and they're saying they can use e-fuels. So this is a developing thing with emissions, even here in the United States. A little information here on the next Super Up. They're saying it will come in 2027, being battery electric only. Even though Toyota is testing on such a vehicle, the performance has fallen far short of the target. So who knows if the battery electric Supra is going to happen, but rumors are swirling around that it's going to be a hybrid or plug-in hybrid, just depending on who you want to believe. So is there anything we can take to the bank with the GR86 with the third generation? Well, I think electrification, you should take it to the bank, as well as a third generation actually happening. But I don't believe the 1.4 liter turbo or the 1.6 liter turbo, that would just increase prices so much. I think we would see a naturally aspirated 2 liter, something like that. Maybe like maybe the engine that we see in the Prius, maybe a 2.5 liter would be pretty cool as well, since we see a 2.4 already. So 2.5 liter, maybe that provides 200 horsepower. And then with the electrification, an additional 50 horsepower. So we're talking 250 horsepower, around the same. Keep it really lightweight with a battery, maybe put a solid state battery in there, which you wouldn't need a big one, just a tiny little thing, which will recharge quickly and give you a nice little shot of nitrous electrified power, that's what I would like to see, since it's pretty much guaranteed to be electrified as a hybrid. But I'll see you guys down below on that. And I have some good news here because production is ramping up. So we're looking at May. All the Japanese automakers have just communicated their May production and sales reports. And what we really want to focus on is not sales, but production, because that's going to affect obviously this month, but also probably more importantly, July. And it's also a good indication of the rest of the year going forward. How strong will the Japanese automakers fare in the second half of 2023? And Toyota has just hit a record high of worldwide production and production outside of Japan, producing nearly 600,000 vehicles in the month of May outside of Japan and nearly 850,000 including Japan. But if we even look at the sales, their worldwide sales at 838,000, if we multiply that sort of pace by 12, we would get over 10 million sales from Toyota this year, which I know that's what they're projecting. But Honda, we know Toyota is going to be on the up, but like Honda is making the biggest turnaround. They had such a hard 2022, and here in 2023, they're up 120% for production in Japan. Outside of Japan, 134%. So the ball is now in Honda's court. They're running to the end zone here, and they're going to have a super strong finish to 2023. And availability on Civics, MDXs, Integras, CRVs, Accords, etc., is going to go through the roof. I don't know about HRVs. That might be a tricky one as it's built in Mexico. And yeah, anyways, I would say the majority of their vehicles are going to see a really strong improvement in production. Even in China is looking decent for them. So let's move on to Nissan. Nissan is in a world of craziness right now. Their COO stepped down. Ashwani Gupta, the COO stepped down. He was literally being spied on by Nissan. They put cameras in his house and on his property, which is absolutely insane. So, I mean, they're already getting sued by their former CEO, Carlos Ghosn. There's some fishy stuff going around in Japan around Nissan. But anyways, things are looking pretty good for them in a production standpoint. Production in Japan is up about 99%, at least from last May. Production outside of Japan up about 8%, with a big downtick in China. Nissan in China is not doing that great. Their global production overall is up about 18.5%. If you go to sales, because this is interesting, China sales are up about 11% for the month, but they're down 23% on the year. Everywhere else in the world, it's up. So their global sales as a result, year over year, is down about 1% because they are fading in China fast. But in North America, their sales month over month is up 48%, up 21% if you include all the months this year. So overall, Nissan doing pretty good there. And then we go to Subaru. We're talking about the BRZ today. Let's focus on production here. It's up 25%. Domestically in Japan, up 24%. Overseas, 26%, which is largely here in United States, I would assume. And year over year, they're up 16% if you include all the months. And lastly, Mazda, crushing it, up 34%. They already had a pretty good 2022. And just like Subaru, Mazda's domestic production affects the availability of cars here in the United States. We import a lot from Japan from those two companies. So them seeing a large increase in domestic production is good to see. They only produce just a few models here in North America, the CX-30, some of the Mazda 3s, as well as the new CX-50. So that production is up as well. Overall production is up 32% on the year, but even more increased here on the month of May, about 40% up. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more Toyota and Japanese auto news here on the channel. I have a Nissan Ariya for review this week, as well as a Honda Pilot. So I have a Honda Pilot nighttime video going up sometime today. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and peace.